As always, just make sure to utilize the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen if you guys have any questions as we make our way through. So again, we're going to take a look first at our ownership transfer process or resales, whatever you guys might call it. And usually this starts with the escrow company or attorney letting you know that a sale has taken place. And first thing you need to do is find your previous owner in Vantaca or your soon-to-be previous owner. You can do that a couple different ways. I personally like utilizing the call center to search for the homeowner's name, but some people do like to go to the homeowner list and select the homeowner from there. But for me, I think it's fastest to just use the call center and use the search right next to the magnifying glass right next to the owner. You'll pick your association wherever the selling owner lives, and then search for their name here. And then once you find them, go ahead and click select, and then they'll be pinned right here. And then you can simply just click them and this will jump you right into their account. Now, before I start the transfer process, I want to just go ahead and mention what a lot of people ask when we go through these trainings. What should we do with our resales once we go live? So from the time that you guys go live in Vantaca, until we get all of your final owner data, such as final owner balances, final GL balances, you should either process all of your resales in both Vantaca and your old software, or neither. And what I mean by neither is just hold on to all those and wait to enter them until all of your final data is in and you're no longer using your old software. So if you only process your resales in one system and not the other, then your final numbers will not be accurate when you get those into Vantaca and things will not match. So it is imperative for you guys as a team to discuss how you want to handle resales from the time you go live until the time you get all your final owner numbers and everything into Vantaca. And make sure everyone's on the same page. You don't want one person doing it one way and then everybody else doing it another way. So just make sure you guys discuss that and finalize who will be doing that. Cool. All right, so next, once you've picked your owner that is going to be your seller, you will be in their account here. You're going to go ahead and click new action item. Hold on one second here. Sorry, guys. My screen's doing something a little bit wonky, so bear with me. There we go. Sorry, guys. That was weird. But once you go ahead and click new action item, double check and make sure that the correct association is selected as well as the correct owner and the property address. Once you have selected and made sure that everything is correct here, from the action type drop-down box, you're going to select ownership transfer. And you don't need to do anything with the current step. It's going to be in the exact step that you need it to be. And then if you need to attach any closing documents or anything from the sale, you can add those right here under the attachment section. Excuse me, guys. That's going to save whatever attachments you place here under the old owner and the new owner's account, which is very helpful and a time saver. So if you so choose to include any attachments, just make sure you do it here in the initial start of your ownership transfer. Once you've updated any of the attachments you want to include, you're going to choose the update and select button. When I click update and select, notice here, my action item is pinned to my action center here, and I have this transfer button. This is the button that I need to make all the magic happen. So if you do not see this transfer button here, you just know you're not in the right place. Once I click this transfer button, my ownership transfer screen is going to pull up. And again, I have one more time just to confirm, in case I forgot to confirm on the first page, that I do have the correct seller and address. Then you're going to select your settlement date. And then you're going to select your new owner. Once I click select new owner, I do have the ability to select if I have someone that's just moving within the same community, I can select them from here. But if this person is moving from outside the community into this one, you would click the new homeowner button here and then just enter the new homeowner's name. And then if there is a second owner on your information that you have provided to you, go ahead and enter that information here. And then if you have the email in the documents, go ahead and add that here. This is just going to save you time on the back end. And of course, if you have the phone number as well. I know a lot of times you don't have that information, that's totally okay. But just be mindful here, the only required information that you need on this page here is at least one homeowner's name or the business name. That's the only required fields. Once you enter it, go ahead and click update. And then notice here that I have pinned that new owner to the top, and all I need to do is click select. Now our new owner has been entered here. And next, you'll select your charge date. If your charge date is going to be different than the settlement date. So maybe if you guys do not need to charge the new owner until maybe the 15th, then you can absolutely select a different charge date here. Otherwise, if the charge date is the same, that's completely okay just to leave those dates the same. And then if you guys do prorates, we do have a prorate button here. Vantaca is going to attempt to do the math for you and make sure that your prorate looks right. My personal preference is always making sure to just double check that the numbers add up and match your paperwork. But you do have the ability here to click in any of these boxes. If anything does not look correct, you can update the numbers. Notice that when I change the charge date here, that all these dates down here updated as well. Excuse me. There is fiscal period protection going to be active, so you're not going to be able to select a date. So that'll prevent you from posting into a closed fiscal period. So don't worry about needing to be careful with these. There is your protection there to make sure that you're not going to post into a closed period. But again, before moving forward, I do want to point out it's best practice to go ahead and scroll through, make sure your numbers look correct. There is a few fees that you guys might charge at the time of sale. So maybe some of you guys will charge an ownership transfer fee or a working capital fee. All of those are going to be set up under your association assessment screen. And so we see here, this association has a working capital charge. That is the type of charge of ownership transfer. So you can set these up to have rules to only charge on the first ownership transfer or every ownership transfer, and then you can select to only charge the old owner if necessary. If you need to make a change to these rules or something changed like structurally with these charges for you guys, make sure before you add a new rule that you create an end date before you create a new one and save it. You don't want two to be going simultaneously. And then again, so that was the working capital charge, and then there was an ownership transfer fee as well. So just be mindful. If you were looking through these numbers and you notice something is missing, then more than likely it just means that that assessment was not initially set up and needs to be added. Looking at a few other things here before we move on, we have our charge tag section here. So this is going to be anything that was present with your previous owner that will be tagged the same for your new owner by default, but you have the ability to uncheck them. So there'll be little check boxes. So maybe now this homeowner didn't have any charge tags, but maybe this homeowner rented a motorcycle parking space or additional storage in their community, but the new owner does not want to. You can uncheck that box here under your charge tags. And then other tags, these are going to be primarily utilized for like any identification tags you guys might use as managers. So maybe if you have single family homes versus townhomes, or building A, B, and C, things of that nature. So these chances are, if they're selected for the previous homeowner, they're going to continue to be selected for this homeowner. But there are some one-off scenarios where you guys might need to uncheck or check some of the other tags here. Now notice there's one more box I want to point out, is the include tenants. So if I move this down a little bit, there's a tenant box right here where there might be tenant information. So if this house is being purchased and the tenants are staying, you can just simply include tenants and those will move over to the new owner as well. But once you've checked everything, all your charges look good, go ahead and click update. Notice that my ownership transfer is still pinned here on the left side of my screen. That's great because it's just going to help me jump between the previous owner and the new owner as I need it. But pretty much at this point, I'm done with my previous owner, unless there's any credits or anything I need to go back that I may have forgotten to apply at this point. I might need to go back to their account. So over here on the left side of my screen, it's now labeled with my old owner as previous owner, and I can click their account or jump back to the new owner's account. By default, it's just going to keep you in their ledger. But if you need to stray away from the ledger, you can obviously click in other locations and get you to other screens. Overnight, my previous homeowner is going to get the previous owner tag and make them an inactive owner in Vantaca. All communications will stop, all auto drafts will stop, and you'll be done with them. Now back to my new owner, Carol. Again, this is my homeowner ledger, but let's go ahead and take a look at their action items. I want to show you guys what has been created all in the same moment that we've done our ownership transfer. So a quick way to jump into this homeowner's action item screen is just right here below collection status. I can click the NA, and we see that we have the new ownership setup action item that has generated all in the process of this ownership transfer. So very simple. I don't need to do anything to initiate this. It just happens automatically on its own. And we see here that I am in the confirm mailing address step. And this is pretty simple. All you're going to do is take a look at it. Just confirm your mailing address. Make sure all the information that's been provided to you is on file and looks correct. If it is incorrect, then you just use this step in order to, as a reminder, to go in and fix it. If everything looks good and I'm good to confirm it, all I need to do is click the menu button here and click step. Once I click step, automatically opens up in my send welcome letter and portal key. And my welcome letter and portal key, my welcome letter actually lives within my association documents. So you guys are able to create the welcome packet that you guys want, and then you can add an additional document underneath the welcome packet if you have any like custom association documents specific to this association. So for instance, maybe I want to send just an FAQs about just general things that might be specific to this association outside of the regular welcome packet. You can absolutely add some additional pages here. Just don't rename these folders, because there's a file path that links it with this action item to bring it in. So once we're ready to go ahead and send the welcome letter and portal key, all we need to do is click update. And notice whenever I clicked update, it didn't automatically update. So I just refresh my screen here and go ahead and send my welcome letter and portal key. I know some of you guys do have a welcome committee on your team. So I'll go ahead and click step one more time, and you can notify your welcome committee as well. So once I notified my welcome committee, now if you guys do not have a welcome committee for you specifically, that's okay. You guys can work with implementation to simply remove that step if it's not necessary. But automatically by default, after you send out that welcome letter and portal key and notify the welcome committee, this action item is going to roll to hold fees and collections for 30 days. That gives this homeowner a couple of weeks to get their ducks in a row, make sure that everything's all set up with their homeowner portal and they got payments on file and things like that. So within that first 30 days, you're not going to send them any late fees or collections. And after that 30 days, this will automatically close out on its own. You do not need to come back in and close this out. So if you guys want the time window of that hold fees and collections to be shorter or maybe a little bit longer, work with implementation. You guys can customize that action item and just make it last a little bit longer for that hold window or a little bit shorter. That's it. So I know it seemed pretty lengthy as I talked through it, but it is pretty fast, especially once you guys get used to it. It'll just be second nature to do this. I'm going to pause for just a moment, just double check and see if we have any questions just yet. If not, we're going to go ahead and move on to creating new associations. Well, it looks like we don't have anything in the Q&A box just yet, but just a reminder, if you have anything that comes up as we're working through this next section, just go ahead and put those questions there and we will make sure to address any questions before we end our call today. Cool. So next we're going to take a look at adding new associations, and where you're going to go in order to start this process is going to be your association list. So you're going to go to the association tab and just click on the word association, or move down slightly to the association list and click that. Either one works to get you to the very same place. On this screen here are all your existing associations. If you need to come in and click edit, you can edit any of your existing associations, make any changes if you have any portfolio changes, things of that nature. You can absolutely make any updates here. Up here at the top, we have your new association button. And this is where you're going to come anytime you guys are growing and adding new communities. So we're going to look at the full run through of this real quickly. However, before I jump into this, I do want to point out that I have some articles that I'll send you guys after this call. How to create a new association. This is going to be everything that I'm about to go over right now. So don't worry, don't have to memorize it. All of this information is broken out for you in this article, and also just explains any of the terminology that you might not be familiar with. Then I have another great article that is linked within this article on the left-hand side right here. It's the new association checklist. So if you just click that, it'll open up this right here. And this is a really good article. Notice I have it favorited myself, even though I've been here for a few years. I still have it favorited because it's good to reference. You're not adding new associations every single day. So it is super helpful to just have this to be able to pull back up. Right here at the very bottom is your how to create a new association checklist. And you can download this, save it to your desktop. That way, every time you create a new association, you have this full checklist with you so that you don't have to memorize it. So what it is essentially is just a Excel spreadsheet with the tasks associated with creating a new association. And then right here, anything that has a Y is required for go live. Anything that is just blank is not required. It's just an enhancement. If you add it, it just makes that association that more like filled out, and just helps you a little bit in your day-to-day if you do these extra things. So for instance, no, it's not required to add any new vendors that are relevant to this association, but yes, it does save you some time later on down the road if you go ahead and get them added in the beginning before waiting till last minute. Same thing, budgets, all of those things. It is very helpful to go ahead and have all this information beforehand. Now, The article category here is super helpful because all of these are clickable links and are articles on how to do the things that we're suggesting before go live or requiring before live. Save this, pin it to your desktop if you can, and just make sure that you have this to save you some time when you're getting ready to go live. With that being said, because there is a checklist, when you come in here and create a new association, the first time you're not going to be able to mark it live immediately. You'll need to come in, fill this all out, click update, go finish your checklist, edit all the things, and then come back in and click edit and then mark that association live. So just be mindful if it's something you need to get live and rolling soon, you want to go ahead and start working on it as soon as you start getting information. So let's just run down this list here. So association code. The association code is the same as your lockbox code that the bank has for you. The name is the full legal name of your association. So this is going to appear on coupons, statements, any communications to the homeowners. So you want to make sure that this is the full legal name in this box. Nickname. This is going to be internal only, but something I want to point out when you're creating and making up nicknames is you want to make sure that it makes sense to the whole team that's going to be utilizing it, not just the person creating it. So you don't want it to be the same as the association code. You want it to be something a little bit easy to remember. The reason I say that is there are a few different screens in Vantaca where if your nickname is not super easy to remember, it might be confusing. So if I'm searching for a homeowner, right here, the Dunder Mifflin is actually the nickname. So if I made the association code and the nickname the same, it would just say 570570. That'd be super confusing, especially for like a new hire in the company. Also, a good example here is just looking at this one here in Vantaca. The Awesome Management Company LLC, the nickname is just Awesome Management Co. So just good to just make it a little bit shorter. But again, totally personal preference there, just a recommendation on my end. Tax ID is self-explanatory, same with state tax ID. Type is going to be the type of association here. So this is hard-coded. There's no way for us to add anything else. So if you don't see specifically what you're looking for here, just pick whatever one is the closest to it that you see here. Chances are you are going to be able to find what you need under this dropdown though. Service type. This is also hard-coded as well. We can't add any extra options, but this is just where you pick what service you're providing for this community. Is it financials only, full management, or one of these options here? This is where you're going to choose which model this association is going to follow. So within Vantaca, you have the ability to create a model association to create like a template for how you want things to be copied over when you create new associations. And then you can customize it out from there. And you can create different models. Maybe you have a lot of communities in California that have things a specific way. So you have a California model, and then maybe you have some communities in Arizona, and you need it to go the specific way to apply to all Arizona laws and things of that nature. So this is where you would pick the model that you want this association to follow. Counting method, this is just where you check whether it's cash or AP cash basis. That is going to be something that if you have a one-off that's not similar to the others, or just something that you might want to run by your consultant, or if you're already with customer success, you can always ping them and just make sure that you guys are on the same page if there's any additional steps you guys need to do based on the accounting method. Company. So company is going to be most impactful if you have multiple phone numbers or office addresses. You can choose which one applies to this association here. And then portfolios, these are pretty basic. This is just where you would select which manager this association falls under their portfolio. if you guys have specific accountants for different portfolios, AR, and then if you have a option for different regions here. You can also add other portfolios that might be relevant to you guys that aren't in our template. You can add those here. And then the all portfolio, this is where you're just going to want to choose all. And that just means that whoever you assign the all portfolio, like for instance, if you have an accountant that is over all associations in every portfolio, then you would want to give them the all portfolio so that they can see everything. Cool. But don't worry, guys, I don't expect you to memorize all this info. This article is super helpful here, and we'll make sure you guys are on the right track. Cool. Well, this one's going to be a pretty short one, but if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and pop those here in the Q&A chat. I'm going to go ahead and pause to check it. Otherwise, that is all I have for you today. Doesn't look like I have any questions here left in the Q&A chat, so you guys are all set. Please, if you have any questions that come up after, please send those to your implementation consultants. They can forward those questions on to me. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and get this recording out early to you guys and all these articles. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your afternoon.